I don't have the biology of humans, she whispered. I smiled. The ship hummed gently beneath his feet, a comforting reminder that despite the vast emptiness around them, humans had built a home here, a fragile, shining spark in the darkness. Captain, Lieutenant Myra said, her voice calm but tense. Sensors have picked up a signal from that derelict station ahead. It's unusual. Cale frowned, leaning closer to the console. The station appeared like a shadow against the starlight, an abandoned relic floating silently in orbit around an uninhabited planet. Its structure was angular, unlike anything humans had designed. Some parts glowed faintly, as if the station still had power, though nothing on record indicated activity. Unusual how? Cale asked, his curiosity piqued. The energy signature, it's not entirely artificial. There's some form of life aboard. A shiver ran down Cale's spine. Life, in a station thought abandoned for centuries. The possibility was both thrilling and dangerous. Prepare a boarding team, Cale ordered. I want a full assessment before we move closer. The Aurora adjusted its course, slowly approaching the station. The stars outside seemed to blur as the ship drifted through the empty void. Cale's mind wandered to the many stories of explorers lost in uncharted space, their fates unknown. He had promised himself that his crew would return safely. Whatever or whoever was on that station, he would ensure they faced it carefully. When they docked, the airlock hissed, sealing behind the team. Cale led the way, his boots echoing on the metal floor of the station. The corridors were dark and quiet, filled with the faint scent of something unfamiliar, neither entirely metallic nor entirely organic. Every shadow seemed to stretch and move in the dim light of their flashlights. Then they found her. Lyra stood in the middle of a large chamber, perfectly still, as if waiting. Her form was humanoid, her face delicate and almost human, yet there was something unusual in her posture and the way her eyes seemed to shine. They were a shade of blue Cale had never seen before, deep, luminous, almost liquid in their quality. Cale stepped forward, hands raised slightly. "Hello," he said. "I'm Captain Cale of the Aurora. We come in peace." Lyra tilted her head. Her voice, when it came, was soft and musical. "I do not have the biology of humans," she whispered. The words struck Cale. She looked human, she even moved like a human. But her voice and that glow in her eyes, it was clear she was not of Earth. "I can see that," Cale said gently, though his mind raced. "Are you hurt? Do you need assistance?" Lyra's gaze shifted to the floor and then back to him. "I do not require what humans require. I survive differently." Lieutenant Myra, standing slightly behind Cale, whispered, "Captain, she's alive. That much is clear, but what is she?" Cale shook his head slightly. He didn't know yet. But he felt a strange pull, an unexplainable connection to this being who was not human, yet somehow more alive than anything he had seen in the void of space. "All right," Cale said aloud, taking a careful step closer. "We will help you. We don't want to harm you." Lyra's eyes softened. "I understand you are different, but your spirit, it is strong. I admire it." Cale blinked. "Spirit, we humans, why?" Lyra looked away, scanning the walls of the chamber. "Your kind survives against impossible odds. You adapt, you create, you endure." "That fascinates me," the boarding team whispered among themselves, uncertain. None of them had ever encountered a being like Lyra before. Some were excited, some were afraid. But Cale remained calm. He had faced uncertainty before and knew that fear could cloud judgment. "Let's get her back to the ship," Cale said. "We can examine her safely and learn more about her." Lyra nodded slowly. Her movements were fluid and precise, unlike the jerky motions of some humans adjusting to zero gravity. Cale noticed her eyes constantly scanning, taking in everything with incredible awareness. He realized that she might be far more capable than any human could be, and yet she needed humans to survive, at least in this environment. Back aboard the Aurora, the ship's medbay became a temporary sanctuary for Lyra. She explored it carefully, touching consoles and examining the walls. Cale and the medical team observed her every move. Despite her alien nature, she was curious, intelligent, and surprisingly gentle. "You are very different from us," Dr. Halen said cautiously. "Your cells, your metabolism, everything about you defies our understanding, yet you seem peaceful." Lyra looked at him, tilting her head. "I do not wish harm, I only exist." Cale smiled faintly. There was something almost childlike in her simplicity, yet beneath it, he sensed a wisdom born from survival in conditions humans could scarcely imagine. Hours passed. The crew monitored her vital signs and behavior. She did not sleep as humans did, but she did rest, her body folding into positions that seemed uncomfortable yet efficient. She spoke little, but when she did, it was insightful, often prompting Kale and the others to reconsider what they thought they knew about life, intelligence, and survival. That evening, Kale found himself alone in the observation deck, staring out at the stars. Lyra appeared behind him, silent, her luminous eyes reflecting the distant light of a nearby nebula. "You wonder about me," she said softly. Kale turned slightly, meeting her gaze. "I do, but more than that, I wonder why you are here, why this station, why now?" Lyra hesitated. "I escaped, they were hunting me, I needed a place to hide." Kale's stomach tightened. "They who?" She shook her head. "I cannot say, not yet, but I am grateful you found me." There was a pause. Kale studied her carefully. She was fragile in some ways, yet her presence filled the room with an energy he could not name. She was not human, but she was alive, and that life was extraordinary. "I know humans can be unpredictable," she whispered, "but I trust you." Kale smiled. There it was again, that strange pull he felt since first seeing her. Humans had survived countless challenges, but sometimes it wasn't strength or speed that mattered, it was connection. And right now, he felt a connection unlike any he had ever experienced. "Then we will protect you," he said firmly, "no matter what comes." Lyra's eyes seemed to brighten. "I believe you." As the night passed aboard the Aurora, Kale realized that the discovery of Lyra was just the beginning. Beyond the derelict station and the uncharted regions of space, there were challenges ahead that would test every skill, every decision, every ounce of human ingenuity. But he felt a quiet confidence. Humans had survived the impossible before, and perhaps now, with Lyra beside them, they were about to face something greater than any of them had imagined. For the first time in his career, Kale smiled without hesitation. Humanity, he thought, had a way of turning the unknown into possibility. And Lyra, this mysterious being who was not human, would soon discover it too. The Aurora drifted quietly through the black expanse of space, stars shimmering like scattered jewels on velvet. Inside the ship, life continued, but a subtle tension hung in the air. Lyra's presence was unlike anything the crew had encountered. She had been aboard for a few hours now, and already her strange ways of moving, thinking, and sensing had captivated and unsettled the humans. Captain Kale watched her from the observation deck, his hands resting lightly on the railing. She stood near the far window, her luminous eyes scanning the cosmos with a calm intensity. Every so often, her fingers brushed the glass, tracing invisible patterns as if she were mapping the stars in her mind. Lieutenant Myra approached quietly. "She's remarkable," she said softly. "I've never seen anyone or anything react to space like that." Kale nodded. "Her senses are different. She notices things we don't. It's like she's part of the universe itself rather than just observing it." Myra frowned. "Do you think she's dangerous?" Kale shook his head slowly. "Not by nature, but she is unknown. That makes people nervous. That makes me cautious." Meanwhile, in the medbay, Dr. Halen ran a series of tests on Lyra. Sensors scanned her body, mapping her metabolism, her neural activity, even the patterns of her subtle energy emissions. Every reading was extraordinary. Her cells regenerated faster than humans. Her heartbeat, though steady, followed a rhythm completely unlike any species cataloged in human databases. Her blood, if it could even be called blood, was luminous, flowing like liquid light through her veins. "Look at this, Doctor." Halen murmured, calling Kale over. "Her cells, they adapt instantly. Even minor damage heals within minutes, and she senses our equipment without touching it." Kale leaned closer. "She's incredible, but what does it mean? Can she survive outside the ship?" Lyra, standing nearby, tilted her head slightly. "Not for long. Your environment supports me more than my own does. I survive differently, but I can adapt with your help." Kale smiled faintly. He had suspected this. Her biology was alien, yet it was clear she had learned to navigate human environments. That was a kind of intelligence, he realized, a kind of resourcefulness humans understood all too well. Later, Kale invited Lyra to the ship's training deck. It was a place designed for physical activity and simulation exercises, and Kale thought it might help them understand her abilities better. Lyra observed the area carefully, her movements precise. When Kale activated a simple obstacle course, she stepped forward. Instantly, she seemed to calculate the layout in her mind. She jumped higher, moved faster, and adjusted her balance in ways humans could not. Every motion was fluid, controlled, yet effortless. The crew watched in awe. Myra whispered, "She's like watching a living machine." But Kale noticed something else. Despite her incredible abilities, there was a fascination in her eyes. She seemed genuinely interested in the human movements around her, trying to understand them. When a crew member demonstrated a simple climbing technique, she repeated it, not because she needed to, but because she wanted to learn the logic behind it. "She's not just fast," Kale said to Myra. "She's curious. She wants to understand why humans do what they do." Lyra paused mid-motion and looked at Kale. "Your kind adapts, you improvise, you use your minds and hearts together. That is unique." Kale raised an eyebrow. "You mean we're special?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, your biology is fragile, yet you survive, you endure." "That is admirable." The crew spent the next hours exploring her capabilities further. Lyra interacted with the ship's artificial intelligence in ways no human could. She understood complex algorithms instinctively, yet her method was alien, intuitive rather than logical. She could sense the energy flow within the ship, detect minor inefficiencies, and even predict where minor malfunctions would occur. Dr. Halen noted, "She's not just intelligent, she can anticipate outcomes before they happen. That's extraordinary." Kale, however, was more interested in her perspective. "Lyra, you seem to understand humans in ways humans themselves don't. How is that possible?" She looked thoughtful. "I have studied life. I have observed survival. Your species, you are unpredictable yet persistent. You rely on your minds and hearts in ways few species can. I admire that. I want to understand it fully." Kale felt a warmth in his chest. Here was an alien being, more powerful than any human, yet fascinated by their weaknesses and strengths. Humans had always turned weaknesses into victories, survival into triumph. Now Lyra recognized it too. That evening, Kale invited her to join him for a quiet observation of a nearby star cluster. They sat together in silence, watching the lights shimmer. For a moment, no words were needed. The vastness of space seemed less intimidating when shared. "You find your kind fascinating?" Kale asked gently. Lyra's eyes reflected the stars. "Yes, your resilience, your creativity, even when you are afraid, you continue. That is rare." Kale smiled. "That's humans. We survive, we try, we hope." Lyra turned her gaze fully to him. "Hope is powerful. I understand it now." Suddenly, the ship's alarm sounded. Red lights bathed the observation deck in a harsh glow. Kale stood quickly. "What is it?" Lieutenant Myra appeared on the comm screen, her face serious. "Captain, sensors are detecting a fleet approaching. They're fast and their signature matches Lyra's energy. Whoever she escaped from, they've found her." Lyra's eyes widened slightly. "They came for me." Kale's jaw tightened. "Then we need to prepare. But remember this, Lyra, humans survive impossible odds. That's what you saw tonight. We improvise, we fight, we endure. You're not just witnessing it, you're part of it now." Lyra nodded. For the first time, Kale noticed a flicker of determination in her expression. She had survived alone for so long, but now she understood humans weren't just fragile, they were remarkable, and together they could face any threat. As the Aurora moved to defensive positions, Kale walked through the ship with her. She observed the crew, asked questions, and even offered suggestions, some small, some surprisingly insightful. Her alien perspective gave them ideas they had not considered, blending human ingenuity with her unique abilities. Kale realized then that the true value of Lyra was not just her physical or mental abilities, but her understanding of what made humans exceptional. It was a reminder that humanity's strength was more than just biology, it was creativity, courage, and connection. Hours passed in tense preparation. The crew trained, reinforced defenses, and ran simulations. Lyra practiced alongside them, not as a tool or weapon, but as a partner. She was learning, adapting, and beginning to appreciate the subtleties of human ingenuity. Later, as the ship's lights dimmed for a brief rest period, Kale found himself again in the observation deck. Lyra approached quietly, her steps light. "You humans, you fight even when the odds are against you. That is fascinating," Kale nodded. "We survive because we must. And sometimes because we want to see the next sunrise or the next star or the next chance to make a difference." She studied him silently. "I want to understand that, not just survive but endure like your kind." Kale smiled. "Then you will. And maybe, together, we can show each other more than either of us could alone." The stars outside glimmered endlessly. In the quiet, Kale felt a rare sense of calm. Humanity had always faced the unknown, and now, with Lyra beside them, they were about to face it once more. stronger, wiser, and united in ways neither had expected. Lyra's presence was no longer just a mystery. She was becoming part of the human story, a story of survival, of curiosity, and of the remarkable spirit that made humans special. And Kale knew that the understanding they were building tonight was only the beginning. The Aurora glided silently through the void, but the calm was deceptive. The sensor screens blinked with urgent warnings, and the crew moved with quiet intensity. Outside the ship, a small fleet of alien vessels emerged from the shadows of a nearby asteroid field. They were sleek, angular, and menacing, far faster than any human craft. Their energy signatures matched Lyra's unique biosignature perfectly. Whoever or whatever was pursuing her had arrived. Captain Kale's jaw tightened as he studied the approaching fleet. "Red alert," he commanded. "All stations to battle readiness. Shields up, weapons primed. Lyra, stay close to me. No one goes outside your safety range." Lyra's eyes glimmered, calm but alert. "I can help," she said softly. "I understand their patterns in ways you cannot." Kale hesitated. He had seen her abilities, yes, but this was war, a test of human ingenuity and courage, yet he nodded. "Then show me what you can do." The crew moved with precision. Human ships were slower, smaller, and less technologically advanced than the alien fleet, but Kale knew humans had one advantage: unpredictability. Machines and patterns could be calculated, but humans adapted. As the first alien ship opened fire, a streak of green energy slicing through the blackness toward the Aurora, Kale ordered evasive maneuvers. The Aurora's engines flared, spinning the ship at impossible angles through the asteroid field. Energy blasts narrowly missed them, scattering debris across space. Lyra's movements were astonishing. She extended her hands toward the control consoles, and without touching them, she seemed to interface with the ship. Energy flows shimmered along the conduits as she redirected power, reinforcing the shields precisely where they were needed. The crew stared in awe. Even Kale felt a shiver run down his spine. "She's saving us," Myra whispered, eyes wide. "She's not even human." Kale ignored her for the moment, focused on the tactics. "Fire countermeasures, use the asteroid field for cover, don't let them predict our path." Lyra's voice cut through the tension, calm and precise. "They anticipate straight lines, zigzag, use erratic patterns. Divide their focus, I can help guide you." Kale quickly implemented her advice. The Aurora darted between massive asteroids, weaving unpredictably. Several alien blasts struck the rocks, sending showers of fragments into space. One vessel collided with debris and was disabled, leaving the rest momentarily confused. "Good," Kale said, a hint of a smile on his face. "Humans can do this." Lyra's eyes gleamed. "Your adaptability, it is remarkable." The battle continued. The alien ships adjusted quickly, learning from their failures. Yet every time they tried to flank the Aurora, the crew found a way to counter. Kale realized the aliens were not just strong, they were precise, methodical, and relentless. But the humans' ingenuity gave them an edge the aliens did not expect. Lyra demonstrated more of her abilities. She projected subtle energy pulses through the ship's hull, disrupting the alien targeting systems temporarily. It was not violent, she did not harm the ships, but it gave the humans a critical advantage. She moved like a conductor, orchestrating a dance between humans and machines. "Captain," Dr. Halen called from the medbay, "the aliens are beginning to focus on Lyra specifically." "Their patterns are tracking her biosignature," Kale nodded grimly. "Then we need a plan. They want her and we're not giving her up. Prepare a decoy. Use our small drones to simulate Lyra's signature elsewhere." The crew moved quickly. Small drones, each projecting energy readings similar to Lyra's, were released from the cargo bay. They darted in all directions, drawing the attention of the alien ships. One by one, the attackers followed the decoys, allowing the Aurora to slip further into the asteroid field. Lyra watched the drones with fascination. "Your strategy, it is clever. You are not the fastest nor the strongest, yet you survive." Kale smiled faintly. "Exactly. Strength isn't always power. Sometimes it's cleverness, teamwork, heart." Despite their efforts, the battle was far from over. A massive alien ship broke through the drone distraction and charged straight at the Aurora. Its weapons glowed bright red, and its approach was faster than the humans could match. "Brace for impact," Kale shouted. Lyra acted instantly. She placed her hands on the ship's hull. Energy flowed from her, merging with the ship's systems. The shields flared, absorbing the impact. The alien vessel's weapon strike ricocheted harmlessly into the void, and the Aurora's engines surged forward in a sudden burst. The crew stared in astonishment. Lyra's alien abilities were extraordinary, yet Kale noticed something important. She did not dominate the ship. She complemented it. She enhanced what humans could do, not replace it. Myra leaned toward Kale. "She's amazing, but can she sustain this?" Kale shook his head. "I don't know, but we have to trust her, and we have to trust each other." The battle raged for hours. Asteroid fields became mazes of strategy. The humans' improvisation allowed them to survive wave after wave of attacks. Lyra guided them silently, often suggesting subtle maneuvers that gave them the upper hand. Finally, the alien fleet began to retreat, their numbers diminished, their tactics unable to overcome the unpredictable strategies of humans augmented by Lyra's guidance. Kale exhaled, his hands gripping the console. "Status report," he demanded. Lieutenant Myra checked the screens. "The fleet is retreating, minimal damage to the Aurora. Lyra, she's unharmed." Lyra looked at Kale and then at the retreating ships. "They will return, soon. They are persistent, but you survived. Your kind, it endures." Kale nodded. "And we will endure again, we always do. But right now we rest, we regroup, and we prepare for whatever comes next." Lyra's luminous eyes softened. "I understand. Humans are not only clever, but courageous. You take risks because you believe in something greater than yourselves." Kale studied her, realizing that she had learned more than just survival tactics tonight. She had witnessed the human spirit firsthand, the ingenuity, determination, and courage that turned the impossible into reality. The crew began repairs, tending to minor damage. Systems hummed back to life, shields reinforced, engines recalibrated. Even in the aftermath, there was a quiet energy on the Aurora. The crew was tired but not defeated. They had faced overwhelming odds and survived, not because of raw power, but because of creativity, courage, and teamwork. Later, Kale found Lyra on the observation deck, staring at the stars once more. "You did well today," he said quietly. She turned to him, a hint of a smile on her lips. "No, you did well. I guided, yes, but it was your ingenuity, your adaptability that saved us." Kale nodded. "Humans survive in ways other species cannot, but you reminded us of something important too, that even when we are small or weak, we can still be strong together." Lyra studied him, thoughtful. "Strength, it is not only in the body. It is in the mind, in the heart, in the will to continue." Kale smiled. For the first time since encountering her, he felt that their partnership could become something more than survival. Lyra was extraordinary, but humans in their simplicity, creativity, and determination had their own remarkable qualities. "Tomorrow," Kale said softly, "we will plan our next move, but tonight we rest, humans and aliens alike." Lyra tilted her head, the faint glow in her eyes dimming slightly in what Kale assumed was her version of relaxation. "I like this. I understand more now. Your kind has spirit." Kale watched her quietly, realizing that this understanding, the bond forming between human and alien, was as important as any victory in battle. As the Aurora drifted through the stars, its crew recovering from the day's events, Kale felt a sense of quiet pride. Humans had faced impossible odds and survived. They had not only endured, they had triumphed. And Lyra, the mysterious being whose biology was unlike any humans, had begun to understand that humanity's greatest strength was not just in their technology or weapons, but in their ingenuity, courage, and spirit. And Kale smiled, knowing that the true journey was only beginning. The Aurora drifted in silence after the harrowing battle. Red lights flickered briefly as the ship's system stabilized, but the quiet of space felt heavy, filled with unspoken questions. Captain Kale walked the corridors slowly, his mind still racing with the events of the past hours. The alien fleet had retreated for now, but their presence loomed like a shadow. Lyra moved silently beside him, her luminous eyes reflecting the dim glow of the corridor lights. For the first time, she did not seem entirely calm. She was still graceful, still composed, but Kale noticed a subtle tension in her posture, a hint that her thoughts were heavy. "You are quiet," Kale said. "Thinking about what happened?" Lyra paused, tilting her head. "Yes. But more, I am thinking about myself, about who I am and what I cannot do." Kale studied her. "What do you mean?" Her voice was soft, almost fragile. "I do not have the biology of humans. I do not require sleep as you do. I do not need food as you need it. My body, it is different. It is stronger in some ways, yes, but weaker in others. I cannot survive long without certain conditions, conditions you provide by being near me, by protecting me. Kale nodded slowly. He had sensed this before, but hearing her admit it aloud made it real. So you depend on humans at least here? Lyra's eyes shimmered. Yes, I depend on your environment, on your understanding, on your care. It is humbling. They walked in silence for a few moments, the soft hum of the ship around them. Kale realized that despite her extraordinary abilities, Lyra was vulnerable in ways humans could relate to. And yet, she had survived alone for so long, evading predators, surviving in the void. Her resilience was remarkable. Lyra, Kale said gently, you are extraordinary, but I want you to understand something. Humans are fragile, yes, our bodies are not perfect, we get sick, we get tired, we make mistakes. But there's something we have that makes us stronger than we look. Lyra looked at him curiously. What is that? Kale smiled faintly. Our spirit, our will, our ability to create, to adapt, to keep going even when the odds are against us. You've seen it today. You've seen how we survived when everything seemed impossible. That is what makes humans unique. Lyra considered his words. Her gaze softened, and for a moment she seemed almost reflective. I understand. Your biology is fragile, but your spirit, it is powerful. That is rare. Kale led her to the observation deck. The stars stretched endlessly before them, calm and silent after the chaos of battle. Lyra approached the window, her hands tracing patterns in the air as she observed the constellations. I have seen many worlds, she said softly. I have survived in places humans cannot imagine, but your kind is remarkable. You endure, you adapt, you fight not only for survival, but for hope. Kale leaned against the railing, studying her. Hope is important. Humans survive because we hope. Even when things seem impossible, we believe we can change the outcome. We create, we imagine, we try again and again. Lyra's luminous eyes met his. And that is why you survive today. Not because you were the fastest, not because you were the strongest, but because you never gave up. You improvised, you thought beyond what was expected. That fascinates me. Kale smiled. Humans have always turned weakness into strength. It's not easy, but it's who we are. For the first time, Lyra looked uncertain. I wish I could understand it fully. I see your strengths, I see your courage, but I do not experience it as you do. My body, my mind, they are different. I survive, yes, but I do not endure as you do. I do not carry hope. I calculate, I react, I adapt, but I do not feel it the way humans feel. Kale studied her thoughtfully. Maybe that's what makes humans special. We're not always logical. We make mistakes. We act on instinct, on emotion, on hope. That unpredictability, it can be our greatest weapon. Lyra was silent for a long moment, absorbing his words. Then she whispered almost to herself, I do not have the biology of humans, but perhaps I can learn from them. Kale's smile widened. That's the start. And maybe you've already begun. Later, Kale invited Lyra to join the crew in the training bay. They practiced strategies for navigating the next stages of space exploration, combining human creativity with her unique perspective. Lyra's alien abilities allowed them to explore new tactics, while the crew's ingenuity ensured that every approach relied on teamwork, unpredictability, and courage. She learns quickly, Lieutenant Myra remarked, watching Lyra demonstrate a complex maneuver. Not just physically, she understands the reasoning behind what we do. She sees patterns we sometimes miss. Kale nodded. She's adapting to humans, yes, but more than that, she's understanding the human spirit. That's rare, Lyra. Few species notice that, even fewer understand it. Lyra's eyes glimmered. I want to understand. I want to endure as your kind endures, perhaps not in the same way, but with the same resolve. As the crew worked together, Kale realized something important. Lyra's presence was not just about her abilities, it was about what she represented. A being of immense potential, learning from humanity's strengths. A reminder that even the most advanced life forms could be inspired by the simple, enduring courage of humans. That evening, Kale found Lyra again in the observation deck. The stars stretched endlessly before them, silent and eternal. She looked at him, a faint smile on her lips. Captain, she said softly, I do not fully understand humans yet, but I see what makes them extraordinary. I see why they endure, and I am beginning to see why I wish to be near them. Kale's heart warmed. You don't have to fully understand yet, you just need to be willing to learn, and you are, that's enough for now. Lyra nodded. I will try, I will learn. I will endure alongside them. Kale smiled. Good, because tomorrow and the days after will test all of us, but together we are stronger than any challenge. For a long while, they stood in silence, watching the stars. Lyra's thoughts were her own, complex and alien, but Kale sensed a quiet determination within her. She had survived alone for centuries, yet now she chose to rely on humans, not out of weakness, but because she understood the power of connection, of shared effort, and of hope. And Kale understood something as well. Humanity's greatest strength was not just in their biology, not just in their ingenuity, but in their spirit. The courage to face the impossible, to endure the unknown, and to find allies in the most unlikely places. Lyra, despite her alien biology, was becoming part of that story. She was beginning to understand what it meant to endure, to hope, and to fight not just with strength, but with courage. And Kale smiled, knowing that the revelations of today, the understanding between human and alien, would shape the battles, the choices, and the adventures that awaited them. The bond they were forming was more powerful than any weapon, more enduring than any shield. It was the promise of unity, of learning from one another, and of turning weakness into strength. The stars outside the aurora shone bright and endless. Tomorrow would bring challenges. The alien fleet would return. But tonight, in this quiet, Lyra had taken her first step toward understanding what it meant to endure as humans did. And Captain Kale knew with quiet certainty that humanity and Lyra would be ready. The aurora drifted silently through the stars, its systems fully repaired after the last encounter with the alien fleet. Yet the crew knew the danger was far from over. The enemy would return, relentless and determined, drawn by Lyra's unique biosignature. Captain Kale walked the corridors, his mind racing with strategies. This time they would not only survive, they would fight as one, combining human ingenuity with Lyra's extraordinary abilities. Lyra approached him quietly, her luminous eyes reflecting the soft glow of the ship's lights. "They will come again," she said softly. "They are persistent, stronger this time, I believe." Kale nodded. "I know, but we are not the same crew as yesterday. We've learned, adapted, and prepared. This time we'll meet them together." Lyra's eyes shimmered. "Together, yes, I understand now. Strength alone is not enough. Unity, cooperation, that is powerful." Kale smiled faintly. "Exactly. Humans survive because we work together even when everything seems against us, and now you're part of that." The crew gathered in the strategy room, tension visible on every face. They reviewed the alien fleet's behavior from the previous encounter. Patterns emerged, predictable maneuvers, coordinated attacks, but Kale knew humans had a secret weapon: creativity. "Listen," Kale began. "We know how they move, we know how they attack, but they have never faced humans who anticipate, adapt, and improvise on the fly. We will use that. Lyra will guide us, yes, but every decision we make is ours. Every maneuver, every tactic, human ingenuity combined with her abilities." Lieutenant Myra leaned forward. "Captain, can Lyra really enhance our strategy without controlling it completely?" Kale nodded. "She will assist, not replace. She can sense patterns, predict outcomes, and strengthen our actions. But we are the ones who choose. That's how humans survive, by taking risks, by thinking, by trying when others would hesitate." Lyra observed quietly, her energy flowing subtly through the ship's systems. "I am ready," she said simply. "I will act where needed, but the choice remains with you." The alien fleet emerged from the shadows once more, sleek and threatening. Their weapons glowed ominously and their movements were precise, but Kale and the crew were ready. The aurora darted among the asteroids, unpredictable and agile, while Lyra enhanced the shields and guided them to optimal positions. The first wave of attacks was fierce. Alien energy beams tore through the void, striking asteroids and scattering debris. The crew reacted instantly, improvising new paths through the field. Lyra's energy pulses disrupted the targeting systems of the enemy ships, allowing the humans to strike back with precision. "This is it," Kale shouted. "Focus on teamwork, use the terrain." "Keep them off balance." The crew's response was flawless. Drones mimicked Lyra's biosignature again, drawing some ships away. Human ingenuity created traps and diversions among the asteroids. Lyra's guidance allowed the aurora to anticipate attacks before they happened. Every move was a combination of instinct, creativity, and alien insight. Despite the intensity, Kale noticed something remarkable. The crew was calm. They were not fearful, only focused. Humans had survived impossible odds before, and now they were proving it again. Lyra's voice cut through the tension. "Captain, I see an opening. If we coordinate now, we can disable their lead vessel." Kale glanced at the targeting display. Do it, but everyone listen carefully. Timing is everything. The Aurora darted through a narrow passage between asteroids, leading the lead alien ship into a trap. The crew activated energy nets and drone barriers, forcing the alien vessel to slow. Lyra projected a concentrated energy pulse through the hull, temporarily disabling its shields. Kale seized the moment. All weapons, fire! Energy beams from the Aurora struck the lead ship, causing sparks and explosions across its surface. The alien vessel faltered, then began to retreat. The rest of the fleet, seeing their leader damaged, hesitated, and that hesitation gave the humans the advantage. For hours, the battle continued. The alien fleet was relentless, but the Aurora's crew adapted with every move. Lyra's abilities amplified their strategies, but it was the humans' creativity, quick thinking, and determination that turned the tide. Finally, the alien fleet, battered and confused, retreated into the void. The Aurora emerged victorious, not because of sheer power, but because humans working with Lyra had outsmarted a superior force. The crew erupted in cheers, though exhaustion was visible on every face. Kale looked at Lyra, who stood silently, her energy glowing softly. "You did well," he said quietly. Lyra shook her head. "No, you did well. I assisted, yes, but it was your kind, your ingenuity, your courage, your will to survive that one today." Kale smiled. "Humans endure, that's what we do, and now you've endured alongside us." For the first time, Lyra truly smiled. It was a small, gentle smile, but it carried warmth and understanding. "I understand now. Even without your biology, even without your weaknesses, I have learned something humans have always known, that endurance, hope, and courage are more powerful than strength alone." The crew began repairs and celebrated quietly. The Aurora had survived the impossible, and Lyra had not only survived but grown in understanding. The bond between humans and alien had deepened, built on trust, cooperation, and shared triumph. Later, Kale found Lyra on the observation deck, staring at the stars. "You've learned a lot," he said softly. Lyra's eyes glimmered. "Yes, about humans, about myself, and about the power of unity. I see now that even if my biology is different, I can endure alongside your kind. I can be strong in new ways." Kale nodded. "And together we can face anything. The universe is vast, full of unknown dangers, but also opportunities. With humans and you, we have hope." She turned to him, her smile more certain now. "Hope, it is powerful. I see it, I feel it, and I wish to protect it with you." Kale felt a surge of pride. This was more than survival. It was alliance, trust, and understanding. Humanity had always faced the unknown with courage. Now Lyra, a being whose biology was unlike any humans, had joined them, not as a tool or weapon, but as an equal. Together they had triumphed over impossible odds. The stars outside shimmered like a promise. Kale knew that the alien fleet might return, or that new threats awaited in the endless reaches of space. But for now, they had proven something essential: that humans, with their ingenuity, courage, and spirit, were capable of overcoming anything, and that even beings from beyond, with extraordinary abilities, could learn from and stand alongside them. As the Aurora sailed through the silent stars, Kale looked at Lyra. "You're part of this crew now," he said, "not because of what you can do, but because of who you are, and because of what we can do together." Lyra's eyes glimmered with understanding. "I am ready." "Together we endure." Kale smiled, a quiet but confident smile. Humanity had faced the impossible countless times before, and now, with Lyra beside them, they were ready to face whatever lay ahead. The alliance was complete. Humans and alien, biology and spirit, creativity and strength, all united in purpose. The Aurora was no longer just a ship. It was a symbol of endurance, of hope, and of the extraordinary power of working together. And as they sailed into the unknown, Kale knew this was only the beginning of an even greater journey. A journey not just of survival, but of understanding, unity, and triumph, the kind that only humans with their courage and heart could inspire. The stars stretched endlessly, bright and eternal. The Aurora moved forward, carrying its crew into the future, humans and Lyra, stronger together, ready for whatever challenges the universe would bring. And Kale smiled, knowing that sometimes the greatest strength in the galaxy was not in power, but in spirit, in hope, and in the courage to endure, together.